Hi, I just wanted to come on here and say thank you guys so much for all the love and support I got from the first three parts of the series. I will try to crack them out pretty quickly and get these to you guys because I had a lot of fun making them, and all the positive feedback, really encourages me to keep going and to put more out and address a couple of comments. I appreciate all your feedback. I love it. In fact, give more of it. But I just kind of want to reemphasize why we do this. Burb and I want to spread awareness about empowering women, decentering men, and women centered issues. And I know that it can come off as I'm being super judgmental and shaming. And um, the reason why I come for Carrie so hard is because she is a fictional character. It would be a different story if I was reading off a Reddit story. I would have a lot more empathy. We can go over baselines again and again and keep beating it, down into the ground until it's ingrained in your brain. But there is a reason that I do this, and I talk about it in the manner that I do. As some of you guys may know, Sex and the City was put on Netflix a couple of months ago. This means that it's going to be reintroduced to, or it already kind of has been, but it's more prevalent to be reintroduced to younger generations. So, like my generation, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is still pretty young, but if it like is on Netflix for a longer time, when they begin to date and when they begin to develop relationships, they're going to be watching these shows. And I think about what that means for them. Two things can be true at once. And the city was a very empowering, and still is, in some respects, for its time. It was so empowering, so groundbreaking. I think it's so wonderful to see. They tell us all the time that women expire at the age 30, and that if we're not married by this point, we're a spinster, we're this, we're that. We get called all these names. And when this show came out, these are three, Samantha's older than them, but these are three women in their 30s, still kind of navigating life, navigating their love lives, and kind of redefining what it means to be women, in the millennium. I love this show. This is one of my favorite shows. That's why I can talk about it so passionately. That's why I can laugh at myself and talk about Carrie so passionately, because I love the show. I love watching it. I love the clothes. I love the topics. I love the shoes. Everything about it. I love it. Even though it was so groundbreaking, I still think there are harmful messages and behaviors that we shouldn't perpetuate, especially to young women. Just because our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters, our aunts went through these things, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and even way before that, doesn't mean that we have to do that. We should be able to dissect these, learn from their mistakes, and say, hey, we don't have to do this anymore. So I just wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page. We all know why we're doing this, deconstructing patriarchy, deconstructing misogyny, internalized misogyny, and decentering men. And I thought this would be a really fun way that we could do that with different TV shows and movies and talking about women. So it's not to shame, but rather to reflect and learn and grow. Hey, here is part four of Don't Be a Carrie Bradshaw. We left off with Big not wanting to introduce Carrie to his mother, and they're supposed to go on a trip to St. Bart's, but Carrie, they don't actually end up going because Carrie says to Big, I need a sign, and he doesn't say anything to her. And then she says, tell me I'm the one. He still does not say anything to her, so they break up. They've gone out for about a year in season one. Now we are in season two. So the girls come to Carrie's apartment. They're like, hey, you've been rotting in bed for too long. We know you're going through a breakup, but you're going to come out with us. So they take her to a Yankees game. The girls are having fun. At the game, Carrie catches a ball. Afterwards, they run into the new rookie, and Miranda's like, oh my gosh, could you sign the ball for my friend? After he signs the ball, Carrie and the new Yankee kind of hit it off. I think she asked for his number, and they go out. They go out on like a little double date. So this is where this picture's from. There's the new Yankee, there's Carrie, and then Charlotte and her new partner are also on the date with them. So we learned that it's only been a month since her and Big broke up. So, Carrie is obviously still heavily pining over him, which, I can't blame her. We've all been there. So what she does to try to kind of get over him, she tries to destroy evidence of Big and tries to kind of jump into the new relationship with the Yankee. So Carrie and Mr. Yankee are at a bar, and guess who Carrie sees? Yeah, you guessed it, Mr. Big. And almost immediately, Big tries to assert dominance. So he comes over to Carrie, and He places both hands on her shoulders and says, "You've never looked better." And her and Big are kind of having a conversation for a little while. They're completely ignoring the Yankee. So we already knew this. Big is the worst. Even though he doesn't want Carrie, he still likes to know that he has access to Carrie and that at the snap of his finger, she will be running right back to him. He knows this. That's why he touches her in front of, her date. He's trying to assert dominance and because he lives for the drama. Mr. Big's tactics do work on Carrie, and afterwards, she breaks down crying. The Yankee tries to comfort her, and she is just not really ready for a relationship, so she tells him to leave. A few days later, it's Carrie's birthday, and Big sends a dozen roses and a card that says, "Best wishes on your birthday." Carrie obviously tells her girlfriends, and then Charlotte feeds her some BS about how men can never admit when they're wrong, so they do grand gestures. So much happening, so much. I'm sorry for blowing into the mic. I'm just so frustrated. It's so frustrating that this was our mindset, or that this has always been so perpetuated in relationships with men and women. Why are women always making excuses for men? Why? I mean, if he's a grown man, if he feels like he has something to apologize for, or if he wants to get back together with Carrie, he should use his words. Instead, let's stop making excuses for men. That should be our little PSA for 2024. So we find out that Big actually doesn't send the flowers and card himself. It's his secretary, and only because it was written on his calendar. I don't know why he said that. I feel like that's kind of mean. It's just another example of Big showing Carrie time and time again that she's not a priority to him. Because even if it was your secretary that sent it, why say it? That's just it just feels mean to me, or kind of malicious. Carrie unknowingly invites Big to her birthday dinner, which is kind of pictured up here, with the girls. Carrie inviting Big to this dinner is kind of playing with fire. And I don't actually really blame her because, she's having a conversation after thanking him for the flowers, and then she kind of accidentally invites him. But I think she should have uninvited him because she knows very well that she is trying to get over him. And you can't really do that when he's at your birthday dinner and, saying things to you. Big tells Carrie that he's going to bring a friend to her dinner, and Carrie, rightfully so, thinks this friend is going to be like a date or a woman. It is not. It's the same friend that when they did their whole drink thing back in season 1, the one that was crying at the dinner. It's that same friend, Jack. And Carrie, when she sees him, she's so excited that Big didn't bring another woman to her birthday dinner, which would have just been that whole situation just that would have been disrespectful. I don't know. Maybe to me, it just doesn't sit right with me. But she's so excited that he doesn't bring another woman that she gets up out of her seat and hugs this guy, Jack. She's like, "Oh, it's so good to see you." Once again, just reinforcing that Big can give Carrie the bare minimum and she'll accept it. Also, I think by him saying that he was going to bring a friend, he's kind of trying to test her and trying to play little games with her. Him saying he's going to bring a friend kind of leaves this ambiguous part in her mind where she's like, okay, is this a date? Is this a woman? Who are you bringing to my birthday dinner? Which also leaves Big with the power. So Big is out of the picture for a while. Who cheered? I cheered. Okay. So during this big intermission, or little intermission from Big, Carrie does an article about people living single, and they kind of do her super dirty in the article. Her hair is messed up. She's smoking a cigarette, and there's eye bags. It's a hot mess. So we get a Bradley Cooper cameo, and Carrie is going to go hook up with him, but then she decides not to because she says, because if she did, it would be the first time she would hook up with a man for validation, which is not true. Knowing Carrie, we know that's not true because even in season 1, that 27-year-old, she hooks up with him because, she wants to feel young and she wants to feel wanted, which there's nothing wrong with that. We're all human. We want human connections. But, just knowing Carrie and knowing her tendencies, that's not who she is. So Carrie's feeling lonely and she calls up Mr. Big. I'm always rooting for Carrie, and then she goes and does something, and I'm like, okay, I can't defend you. I love you, but I cannot defend you right now. So Big and Carrie go out to dinner, and then after dinner, They go back to his place, and then Carrie says that she is not going to sleep with him, and she doesn't do that. So she's kind of resilient in this episode, and she doesn't do that. The next episode, Charlotte is hosting a gallery, and Carrie lies to Samantha about her not feeling well or something, and then she goes to secretly hook up with Big. And this is just kind of another example of, I might do another series a different time about how Carrie is kind of a bad friend. So Carrie tells Big that she hasn't told any of her friends that she's been seeing him again. And he goes, neither have I. And she's like, well, why didn't you tell them? And he's like, well, I sensed that you didn't want me to. And obviously that is a lie, as we know that Big is a liar. And it's a lie because even the first time around dating, Big never shared his life with Carrie, not in that way, not his friends, not his family, not anything, close to him and substantial. Carrie wants to keep their relationship a secret because she knows how her friends will react. And I think it's very telling when your friends don't like the man that you're dating. It's usually not for silly reasons. It's for like a good reason that your friends would not approve the man that you're dating, or, be accepting of him. And it's usually because of things that he's done in the past to prove that maybe he's not worthy of you. So in the same episode, she admits to the girls that she's sleeping with Big, and they're obviously upset because, they don't want to see their friend get hurt again. Carrie feels judged because, these are her friends, not even her friends, but, throughout the series, they develop a relationship where they're almost family to her. Like, she goes to them for her opinions and her approval, and for them not to accept Big is, kind of heartbreaking for her. I know I dog on Carrie a lot, but she is human. I think we've all talked to a guy or dated a guy that our friends really did not like, and to not have their approval still stings. I do think it is a testament to say, though, how much we let men get away with. If one of my girlfriends treated me the way that Big treats Carrie, we would not be friends. So why is it that men are allowed to treat women poorly and we accept it? But if another woman treats us poorly, we would not accept that kind of behavior. We're expecting more from women than we are of men. This is such an important conversation for us as women to have, because I feel like when we talk about deconstructing patriarchy, we don't also add in the fact we have to deconstruct internalized misogyny. This was part 4. I only have a few more seconds, so like and subscribe. Hi, my name is UDA. I'm Burb's intern, and this is part 5 of a series I like to call Don't Be a Carrie Bradshaw. We left off with Carrie telling her friends that she's hooking up with Big again, and them disapproving. Mr. Big is starting to change his patterns a little bit. So now he's kind of taking Carrie out a little bit more, introducing her to some of his friends. So they go out to dinner to this nicer restaurant, and that's where we get this picture. They're all dressed up, and there's like a mutual friend of Big's that owns the restaurant, and they sing karaoke, and he's kind of letting Carrie into his life just a little bit. I wouldn't say anything that is like substantial, but a little bit more than he did in season 1. A little bit later, Big takes Carrie out dancing, and they're having conversations about their breakup. And Carrie's like, why did we break up again? And he's like, I believe that you didn't want to go to St. Bart's with me, kind of not saying the real reason why they broke up, meaning that he didn't want a serious relationship that she wanted. As they're dancing, Carrie asks, does this mean that we're seeing each other again? And Big replies, if you say so. And Carrie takes that because we know Carrie. So in the same scene, there's a voiceover, and Carrie has this aha moment about how she's afraid that Big will never be able to love her the way that she needs to be loved. And I think this is such an important conversation, because I think a lot of the times we want love from someone, or we want somebody to love us a certain way, and that way is just either not our love language or it doesn't fit with who we are. And so we don't feel loved in the way that so we don't feel fulfilled by the love that they're giving us. I think the way that you want to be loved and the way that you need to be loved are two completely different things. I think a lot of the times we try to force ourselves into this box and being like, well, my love language is receiving gifts, and your love language is actually physical, like your primary love language is actually physical touch or quality time. And a lot of the times you want all these things to be like, I want this person to show me that they love me. I want them to do this, this, and that. And that is not fulfilling you in the way that you need to be loved. The thing is that Carrie never tells Big the way that she needs to be loved. I think there's a few reasons why she does this. One reason is because Carrie doesn't know the way that she needs to be loved. Another reason is that I think she's afraid that if she pushes Big too much, he will run away. Like, we know that that is on par for Big, and that he has these commitment issues when it comes to Carrie and this relationship. Okay, when I tell you this, I just laughed. But when I tell you this, I'm going to try not to laugh. So Carrie is staying over at Big's and she forgot her toothbrush. So she asked Big for a toothbrush head. He goes in and he grabs her the last pink toothbrush head and gives it to her. And Carrie calls this the single most encouraging moment of their relationship. I want better for my sisters. I need better for my sisters. I need them to free my sister Carrie. I need them to release her, free her from the shackles of Mr. Big. Because what do you mean that is the single most encouraging thing of your relationship? Honey, I'm sad for you. You stand up. What toothbrush head? We can go to McDonald's and get a kids meal and get you a toothbrush head in the kids meal. We could go to the Dollar Tree down the street and get you a pink toothbrush head if that's what you want. That is the most encouraging moment in your relationship. What kind of relationship is this? Okay, let's keep it pushing. So Carrie calls Big in the middle of the night. Sorry, we're moving forward a little bit. She calls him in the middle of the night and she's talking to him about love at first sight, if he's ever experienced it, how she experienced it with him. And Big is just kind of like, well, he's asleep and he wakes up to take the phone call. But he's kind of like, oh, what are you wearing? Tell me what you look like right now. And I wanted to add this part in here because I feel like if a man does this to you, especially when you're trying to have a serious conversation, even though she did call him in the middle of the night, but I feel like he doesn't respect her. If a man does this to you, they don't respect you. So Carrie is supposed to be writing a poem for a mutual friend's wedding, and she's telling Big about it, and Big expresses interest in attending the wedding. So later, when they get the card for the wedding, Carrie asks Big if he can sign the card. He goes completely stoic and very cold and starts asking a bunch of questions about how did they know I was coming with you? You told your friends about us. And then just outright refuses to sign the card. And I thought this was super like weird because, we kind of it's like we get an inch from Big and then we move 2 steps backwards. Like, he's taking her out to these nice restaurants. He's introducing her to some of his friends now. And then to sign a card at a wedding, he's like, I'm not doing that. So we're at the wedding now, and Carrie is giving her poem, and Big takes a phone call in the middle of this. And at first, I was kind of thinking, like, oh, why is she crying? Like, doesn't she love the fact that he's this, like, finance bro, and he's this hot shot, and he makes all this money and whatnot? But somebody in the comments of part 1 through 3 was telling me how that was Big showing his narcissism. And I never really thought about it that way. But that is such like, oh, thank you so much for saying that, whoever said that. Because he was trying to take attention away from her. You know what I mean? He was trying to mess her up and be like, hey, you're getting all the attention right now. I don't like that. So let me take a phone call in the middle of your poem. And why I think about it that way now is because we do know that he has a secretary. So, if he is at a wedding, he's on a date with his girlfriend, why wouldn't he just be like, hey, I can't take, and I'm going to guess, I don't know what time the wedding is. Maybe it's a day wedding. You should be like, it's your day off. Why are you still taking like work calls? And like, you should just pass it off to your secretary. Instead, he doesn't do that. And he makes his girlfriend feel bad. And then I don't think he doesn't apologize for it because I didn't write it in my notes. Yeah, he doesn't apologize for it. So Carrie starts crying in the middle of her poem, and she blames it just being on like, oh, I'm so happy to be at this wedding, but it's actually because Big left in the middle of her poem. So later she tries to kind of ask him about having a serious relationship, and she's like, I just think that you and I don't want the same things. And he goes, things like cake, like wedding cake. And I'm just like, what? Stop giving this man a chance, please. Like, he is just in his own little world doing whatever he wants. And you're asking him about a serious relationship, and this man is talking about cake at his big age. Not saying you can't eat cake, but like, if we're having a serious conversation, don't jest. We're off to the next episode. Carrie and Miranda are supposed to go out to dinner, but Carrie blows off Miranda so that Big can make her dinner. And there's a very particular thing that Carrie does that I want to talk about. So, Carrie and Miranda both have flip phones, and as we know, this is 1999, so I'm not sure if they have like minutes on them or whatnot. I'm sorry, I'm a 2002 baby. Come on, get off me. So Carrie leaves a message on Miranda's answering machine, knowing that her and Miranda are supposed to go out to dinner. So obviously, Miranda is not going to be at home to listen to the answering machine. Instead of Carrie calling Miranda's flip phone and being like, hey, I can't come out tonight. So Miranda calls her as she's at the bar waiting on Carrie for dinner. And she's like, hey, we're supposed to come out tonight. Why aren't you here? And Carrie's like, oh, well, Big's making me dinner and whatnot. And, like Carrie being a bad friend as usual. So I moved down. And that was because I was hiding this man. Nothing against the actor, but I hate Steve. I hate Steve and Miranda. I am a Steve and Miranda hater to my core. If Steve has no haters, no, actually, that's not true. I could be 6 feet under and I could still be hating Steve. I hate this man. And I'm actually going to do a series on how much I hate this man and how much I hate Steve with Miranda. I hate this man. Sorry. I'm sorry. Where were we? Don't be a Carrie Bradshaw. Don't ditch your friends for your man, especially last minute plans. Like, if you and Miranda had plans, go out with Miranda. Tell your man, okay, I'm sorry, some other time, make me this veal, whatever you're eating, or whatever he's, whipping it up in the kitchen. So that was part 5 of the series. I hope to get started on that Steve and Miranda series. I'm really excited about doing it because, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.